Brilliant. God, oh look, there's all sorts of things going on. Hello, folks.
Hello, everybody.
Great to see you all. 48 people, as far as I can see, on the call. 12 likes so far. We haven't even started. I'm impressed with your enthusiasm. As ever, please let us know that you can hear us and there are no funny audio issues and stuff like that. Otherwise, it's great to see you. A lot of the usual suspects I see. Matt, Janet, Goodsy Sue. I don't think we've seen you here before, and thank you for becoming a Patreon supporter during the last couple of weeks. I think I'm right in saying that. Sibylla, hello there.
Hi, Sibylla.
Ernie, Geraldine, excellent. Diorman, Libba, Nick, Virginia, Geraldine. Buford, I think you've been with us on the call before. Buford, T Justice, Sue, David. Hello, David. Welcome. Val Kelly. Val, have we had you on the call before? Sorry if my brain is a bit sieve-like. Andrew Brooks. Who's been a patron for a while now, but don't often drop in these. You're very welcome.
Hello, Andrew.
Lily, you're in Warwickshire. Whereabouts in Warwickshire? Lily Rose. I'm in Warwickshire too, as you probably know. Just, that would be. Just Vegas. Am I pronouncing your name right? From Belgium.
We should probably go to a crash course in global pronunciation. Really.
Otto, I don't know if it's too late, Rupert, for that with the last date. I know. I've been reading. I do, voiceovers, as you know. I've been reading foreign names for almost a profession for 4 years. I tell you, it's
the Angela Rippon approach. Just say it with
that's
enough
the one.
conviction,
Yeah,
they will believe you.
Yeah. So, as ever, guys, the chat scrolls very quickly, so I'm not able necessarily to pick up everything. Rupert is in France on his phone, but Rupert can't see any of the comments and stuff going on, so he's completely relying on me. Sorry, I took away your thing that you like to say at the beginning of the.
No, you feel free. You feel free.
Yeah.
Anything that makes it sound like I've stopped moaning, it's got to be a good thing. I'll let you do the moaning on my behalf.
If you're new to the channel, I'm sorry, for some reason my video keeps blacking out. Hopefully that doesn't spoil everybody's enjoyment. Never mind. But if you're new to the channel, new to the Q&A, very pleased to see you indeed. And I'm going to do a shout out for our Patreon supporters. We have a Patreon page and invite people to support us on an ongoing basis. And folk who have joined us in the last couple of weeks since the last one on Patreon. Thank you to John Jones, Jonathan Barron, Barry Yates, Greg Archer, Sarah Ainsworth, Dee Mawaha, Sarah Murray, John McGovern, Larry Cherniak, George Adams, Carol Tomlinson, Goodsy Sue, I know you're here, Eileen Stoop, and Thelma Wilcox.
Hello, Thelma. I know Thelma.
I don't know if Thelma's here. I haven't seen her yet. If you are, say hello. So this session.
Much,
sorry, Rupert. Go ahead.
No. I'm just reiterating your thanks. Yes, you make a difference. You really do.
Rupert's audio not so clear. I will bump him up a bit. Let me know if that. Say some words now, Rupert.
I'm just well, you might be better off not hearing me. I don't know.
Usually you're louder, so that's it.
Yeah.
So this session is about answering questions that have been posted to us in the last 2 weeks since the last one in the community. If new questions do come up in the chat, I'll do my best to bring them to Rupert's attention but principally it's for questions that have been asked formally in the last couple of weeks. In the last couple of weeks, what have we been up to? 2 weeks. It doesn't seem like any time at all.
They go, though, don't they? They go so quickly, and we are so relentlessly busy. Been putting together the next show, which, well, it'll be with you shortly.
Yeah. We got the interview with Lizzie Dale out. I don't know if Lizzie's here tonight.
And Lizzie has been going down very well.
She has, actually. Do you know what? She's gone to #1 in terms of number of views in the first few weeks.
Amazing.
Which is great. And that's a function, of course, of the number of subscribers that we have, I'm sure. And couple of numbers things. So forgive us for going through, keeping you all up to date with how things are going.
They're exciting for us anyway.
Huh?
They're exciting for us anyway, so we hope it's infectious.
I'm just about to digress, but Matt says a very kind thing. He says Patreon is very worth it with these guys, early access and exclusives, etc. Big fan of it personally, which is a very nice little testimonial to have. Welcome, Stephen Walker. Glad you could make it. 20,000 subscribers on YouTube is a very, very nice milestone to have. A fifth of the way to 100,000. We don't never want to just turn it. Funny, 20,000. It's one of those figures. It begins to be meaningless. We know that's a lot of people, but envisioning how many people that is just crazy. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Lizzie. She is.
Hello, Lizzie.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of half a Wembley Stadium gig, isn't it?
I wouldn't know such a thing. I guess. Yeah, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. And onward and upward. And another big number was passed just today. Rupert, say what that was.
Standing with Stones just romped past 500,000 views on YouTube, and in fact, since this morning, it's gone up by a few thousand. We're now just coming up to 501,000 views of Standing with Stones. Well, that's massive.
Yeah,
to be honest,
it's another number that doesn't compute, but it's pretty, still lower order as far as YouTube complete stardom is concerned. But heck, it's all going in the right way, and blows our minds actually to think that a film that we made 14 years ago has got such life. Anything else before we need
we
to?
Both had more hair, and I had more teeth.
But thanks particularly for you guys that inject such energy into these sessions and just give us the spirit to keep plugging at it. And I say that with reference to sometimes the spirits get drawn a bit low, because also today, blooming YouTube took after giving it back to us a few days ago. Monetization, I'm talking about, and partner program. They've taken it away again.
Yeah,
complete.
That hurts.
Mystification really, really hurts. And at these rates, it's beginning to make quite a difference from a revenue point of view, having that taken away. We're on it. We're doing what we can.
But if you as patrons who know how the value of your support,
consistency,
so it hurts. It impacts on us when something like particularly when it's algorithms. It's not even people making decisions. It's computers seeing something and going, "Oh, that's not right," when we haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah.
Not at all. It's just a question of the computers sorting it out, and then it'll be
so. We're a bit dispirited this morning, but we're on it. We think we'll get it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sibylla, same reason. Apparently, we reuse other stuff. We don't. I think I know why it may be that it may be making that mistake. It's coming up as a false positive, in other words. And again, on the case. And hopefully next month we'll be able to report something different. Never mind. This is not going to be a rant. We don't want one of those.
No, indeed. It won't stop us working and doing what we do. So
yeah.
On that note...
And what we have been doing is creating the next Prehistory show, which will be out shortly. I don't know if I'll make it by Sunday, but within the next Prehistory show, got a great little piece with Professor Vince Gaffney coming up. He is the discoverer of the rings around the pits around Durrington. And we've got a full-length interview. And we've got a bonus for Patreon supporters. You're going to get a bonus extended version of that interview. Yes, true. Because he talks, does Vince. And what a fantastic story he's got to tell. Yeah. And lastly, before we move on, I've been out and about in Herefordshire doing some filming for the Prehistory show. So that's been exciting, actually be able to get out and point the camera at things. That's
I've been indoors researching and writing and researching
thing.
And writing and researching and writing and researching and writing.
Anyway, enough about us, unless you've got something to say, Rupert.
No, I'm ready for questions.
Excellent. Shall I put up a question then? And the first question, well, it's not a question really, it's from Jimmy Lawley. It's more of a statement. Jimmy says, sacred stones pulled by oxen. The spirit of the stones is transferred to the animals, which are then sacrificed and consumed by the builders. Therefore, the spirit, or whatever, of the stones is transferred to the builders, who wear clothes and jewellery made from the bones and skins. So I think Jimmy's sort of challenging us there. How
did he end that? He said, "What do you think?" or something like that.
It was something like that. I've left that out. Yeah.
And okay, and do you know what? I thought one of the things that's really important is that people are unconstrained in thinking of the possibilities, because it's all too easy to just read what academics say.
Well said, that man. Yes.
And go no further. And to be honest, Jimmy, maybe. I don't know if I go with that, but the point is that maybe it's another one of those things that we genuinely don't know. We can't know. Because there is no thing that you could find that would be evidence to support that. Equally, there's nothing that would be evidence to counter that. Yeah. We just have to accept it as it's as good an idea as any.
Yeah. I mean, we're coming around to the thing that yes, it looks like a no-brainer that stones were pulled about via the use of oxen or cattle or what have you.
Yes.
But there's a presumption in there, and that is that the stones were sacred. Or it is inferred that they have spirit. And I think what it speaks to really is the crucial thing of, do we go with practicality or do we go with spirituality, or, which I think is probably the most likely, is a heady combination of both.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's that in itself is an interesting point, isn't it? Because when you look at the real show sites, and obviously I am talking about Britain specifically here, because there aren't that globally there aren't that many sites that compare with the the flamboyance of many of the English show sites, if you like. So I'm talking about Stonehenge, Avebury, Castlereagh, places like that, where you're looking at massive stones being brought to create this enormous monument, which is, whichever way you look at it, whatever your stance is, whether you think it's a religious site or whether it's a marketplace or a meeting place, whatever it is, the point is that it's a demonstration of power and wealth and importance.
Yeah.
And even now, if you look, through the millennia, how priorities have changed. So going back 1,000 years, maybe not 1,000 years, let's say 500 years, that it was who was building the biggest cathedrals as a celebration to God. It was still a demonstration of power and wealth in building these things. Yeah. Prior to that, it was who could build the biggest castle. Now it's who can build the biggest skyscraper, and there is this ongoing sort of competition around the world that who can make the next biggest skyscraper. It's always a demonstration of power and wealth, whatever its actual intent, underlying intent.
But you're absolutely right, to kick off saying what you did, because, when conjectures are made, like Jimmy's just made, it there's a placeholder in your mind then for when, if things do come up that may point in that direction, you go, I remember when Jimmy Lawley sort of mooted that point. I wonder if that fits with this piece of... And the place to look for confirmation, really is in ethnographic studies. If people are still hauling stones around and all that stuff, where is this model of workability still existent in the world? And asking the question, how do people relate? I mean, we should not get bogged down here, Rupert, though, because we can't really say much more, because we've got a few questions to get through.
We can't, that's true. But there was one thing I wanted to say, and particularly because Sibylla is, she's with us this evening.
Can I just say, interrupt you, hold that thought. I'm just going to say thank you very much, Lectica, for your... for having watched the movie for a second time. Thanks for being here, and thanks for the congratulations on the 500,000 views. Yay. Sorry, Rupert, carry on.
Thank you. No, that's all right. It was just a demonstration of somebody coming up with an idea, or not necessarily an idea, but coming up with something that makes you reevaluate a lot of things that you thought you knew. And Sibylla sent me an email. In fact, it sent us both an email the other day, where and it was in the context of rock art and how we interpret rock art, and there is this view that that these things were created and we don't know what they were for and blah. And Sibylla mentioned a church in Cyprus, on the top of a mountain or a hill in Cyprus, where when something significant happens in somebody's life, they go up to this church and they carve the date in the walls. They just carve the date, nothing else, no explanation, no justification, just the date. And the church is covered in carved dates. Now, imagine, this is the point that Sibylla was making, that imagine that we look at a rock art, this stone that is covered with rings and cups and what have you. Well, supposing somebody just started that off as one engraving, and then somebody came along maybe a decade later and carved the next one, and so on and so on and so on, and that might have meant something to them, or culturally it might have meant something. But we need to, it's a very good point that we need to stop seeing these things as like something that happened in a moment in time. It's quite possible that it could have taken 1,000 years for that particular rock to be, to have become the piece of art that we see today. So I thank you, Sibylla, for that message that you sent through. I haven't had a moment to reply to you yet. But yeah, it was a good point to make, and I think that in relation to Jimmy's thing about maybe the spirits of the stone. Maybe you have to leave the windows open for abstract thought.
On to Dorothy Lewis, and her question.
Yes.
Which is, do you know of any Younger Dryas results in your area in England and France? The short answer being, not really.
No. It's
Thanks for the question, Dorothy. And
it's
just,
a good question.
if you're there, reassure me that I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
Yeah, it is a good question. No, and for various reasons, no. I think that particularly in Britain, you have to take on board that the Younger Dryas was, it's during the Mesolithic. There is no, there's certainly no monument building going on. It's a long time before that. So you would only be looking at hunter-gatherer stuff. Now, there is some stuff to be found on Doggerland, which is under the North Sea. And, there's, in fact, Vince Gaffney, again, who we've interviewed. He's doing a lot of important work there. Down here, where I am in southern France, you are looking at a time it's contemporary with the Solutrean culture. So there is a certain amount of archaeology that you can find down here that relates to tool use, assemblages of tool use, but there is nothing in terms of settlements. It seems to be very much pre-established settlement. If that answers your question, it's a brief answer and it's a good question. But the honest truth is that archaeology down in southern France is scant. Let's call it scant. They register things, but they tend not to excavate them in a hurry. The last major excavations down in this sort of region were 80 years ago, 70, 80 years ago, really.
If you're thinking about, generally speaking in England and France, I think no specific evidence, but I was saying to Rupert earlier that the huge potential knock-on effect for all of Northern Europe is it is possible, of course, that the Younger Dryas was a precipitator of different settlement patterns further east and south, which may have been a generator of the change from hunter-gatherer to farming practice. You don't know it, but I can't help but think, yes, if you looked hard, you could find the results of it, and it may be profound, but you can't link it necessarily link it directly. On the other hand, it could have been without the Younger Dryas. Obviously, all of history would have been completely different.
Yeah.
Anything, it would all up for grabs.
I'll tell you one interesting thing, though, that has literally only just been published. A paper has been published, was from some archaeologists in America, actually. Mexico, I think, by coincidence, because there's other stuff been going on in Mexico. No, it's not Mexico. Sorry, I can't remember where it is. It's America anyway.
Yeah.
And these guys have actually found sufficient geological record to say that because the Younger Dryas was always thought to have been kicked off by cosmic events, so comet impact or meteorite.
There was a volcano hypothesis as well, wasn't there?
But that's what they've just proven, that it wasn't celestial at all. It is that the Younger Dryas was by a succession of volcanic eruptions. So this vast nuclear winter. It's just the atmosphere was so dense with dust from volcanic eruptions that's what caused the rapid cooling and what we call the Younger Dryas, which interesting they put that out. I'll try to remember, in fact, notes to self. to post a link to the paper.
Okay. Can I just ask anybody, is my video flickering for you, going black momentarily? Yeah. Pardon?
You go black for like a.
I'm just wondering if it's occurring for folk out there as well. That may be just within Skype, but
okay.
I hope not. No matter. While mine. Yes. Sorry, I've lost your question. Where is it? Any geology reviews of the young dryas layer in the soil during any digs? I can't really answer that question. It's not an area of my expertise or knowledge at all.
But it depends what you're asking specifically.
Or where,
in terms of archaeological digs, not really, because archaeologically we tend to be looking. We tend to be looking significantly later.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff that we're excavating in relation to human culture comes from, say, 8,000 years BC to, whenever you like, Middle Ages. So the Younger Dryas is really going back a bit too far. From a geological point of view, there's a lot of work done, yes, but I confess that we don't tend to read those papers because we don't have time.
All right. Okay. Thank you for letting me know about, yes, everybody is experiencing the blacking out, or most people
It's weird, isn't it? We've never had it before.
No. Can't think why, because I have a better computer since last time as well. It's got a lot more memory now than it did have before. Anyway, thank you, Dorothy. Let's move along. Diolman. And Diolman always asks a good question. Diolman Roby asks, any news or thoughts about the logboat recently found in Ireland? Sorry, Rupert. Yes, away you go.
I'm only chuckling because I think, in fact, you said this earlier, and I shouldn't.
Well, before we say anything, should we, in case anybody, not everybody is aware of the discovery? Sorry, that was a cue.
Oh, it was a cue for me. I thought you were going to explain. Okay, yeah. Well, they were doing some geophys. Yeah. This is near Newgrange in Ireland. And they were doing some geophys, and they found along the riverbank, they found an anomaly that they, when they dug it up, they actually found a...
Well, it was underwater, wasn't it?
Yes, it was underwater.
I think a lot of people were very, very dubious because they claimed from the sonar to have found a boat. And everyone's going, no, don't be silly. It's just an old log falling in the water or something, less spectacular
and everybody had to eat their words, because sure as hell it was a boat. Yeah. And they also found a weir.
And Dorman says Ireland, and of course we're talking very specifically here about the Boyne near Newgrange. In the Bruna Boyne, so it is in an area of known very intense activity. Yes.
The only reason I chuckled when you read the question was something that amuses me is that we're always so surprised when somebody finds a boat. When it's like, well, why? I mean, it's wonderful. It's fantastic when they find another one. But when you think, we did a piece about this I can't remember how many months ago, but off Baldner Cliff on the north coast of the Isle of Wight, they found they could only describe it as, you can't call it a boatyard, it was a boat building place. Yeah. And they could tell that's what it was because of all the carpentry, remarkably sophisticated carpentry, and it's 8,000 years old. Now, the thing is that there were there were carpentry techniques in this place that previously had been thought not to have existed until at least 2,000 years later. So, suddenly there was a major rethink on the technology of the time. But it's the fact that people have been using boats for so long. It's just that we so rarely find them. And now they've got another one. There's nothing, as far as I have read, there is nothing remarkable about the boat. It's just remarkable that they found another one. Yeah. I don't know if you've picked up anything else, Mike, in the news. But
no, not particularly. Matt just a little thing to throw into the mix there, that the quartz that faces Newgrange, faces it now, was brought by boat, originally brought by boat, as best as they can understand, because it comes from a beach further north. Didn't know that, Matt.
I didn't know that, Matt. Thank you for that. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. But it's remarkable. I suppose, that's the thing. I mean, they're rare. They are rare. They shouldn't surprise us at all. But boy, are they rare. I mean, they're wood. They rot. You've got to have very special conditions indeed to preserve something like that for 5,000 years.
Absolutely. It's astonishing.
And it's like dinosaurs. The rarity or not of dinosaurs. We get lots of big ones because those bones are easier to find. We get, the recent finds with dinosaurs tend to be the smaller and the smaller boned ones now, and the bird-like ones. The big boned ones, they're obvious. But that doesn't mean to say that they were predominantly, there were more Tyrannosaurus rexes than, or Brontosauruses or Allosauruses about than anything else. Hello, here we go. We've prompted Rupert. What's he got?
Well, you're talking dinosaur bone?
Yeah. It's prehistory.
Dinosaur bone.
Whoa!
Dinosaur bone.
Whoa!
And you can always tell that it's dinosaur bone rather than random rock. I hope this shows on the camera. But that's because when you cut cross section, then the texture. Can you actually see that? Does it show?
Yeah.
There's a texture, a very telltale texture in the cross section of the bone.
Yeah.
That you never get with rock. And I've got lots of pieces of dinosaur bone.
So glad we gave you that opportunity to open your cabinet of curiosities and show off.
Tongue.
Or Apatosaurus, yes.
Yes, hip bone, that is. Unfortunately, don't know what it was because don't know what the animal was because it was in too much of a ruinous state. That came from.
I'm going to put my hand up there because Libba says she loves Rupert's curios, and there's an itinerant sort of thing special that occurs for our Patreon supporters. Rupert, he's got duck your head out the way so you can just remind of what we're talking about. That cabinet right behind that tripod there is full of fascinating stuff. And there's so much fascinating stuff that every few weeks Rupert's been diving in there and presenting a little item from there with his video camera and presenting that as a special for Patreon. There you go.
I'm glad you're...
Anyway, we got a bit off topic there.
I'm sorry. You said dinosaur bone. I was just,
What I'm saying is there would have been lots of them. There would have been lots of boats. Rare now, but not then.
Yes. Yes.
People used the rivers. They were busy, like the Thames was, not so long ago. And there's another tale. Yes. So those are our thoughts about the log boat. I think, with nothing more specific to go on, Rupert. Sorry.
No, I just was going to say, because I hadn't heard what Matt said about the quartz having been brought from a specific beach.
Yeah,
I didn't know that, and it's an interesting thought that it seems unlikely that they would have brought rocks in the sorts of boat that they recently found. It makes you wonder if were they bringing them on rafts so that they could.
I would have thought so. I mean, it's like it's like saying they were doing it with coracles. I think they're a bit more
Yeah.
Sophisticated than that and a bit more advanced than that in terms of their
Yeah.
ability,
Interesting.
These are
I will
people
read
that
up on
actually, ultimately, they had arrived by sea
Yes.
in the first place.
There is not much choice in the matter.
I don't know how many people here have been at sea for any length of time in a very small boat. It's a bit scary, and you need to be trusting the skills.
No, it's not scary. It's exhilarating.
Exhilarating. All right. Jimmy, is there a sync problem? Is it with me or Rupert or both that you're talking about? It may be me.
Really?
Oh, yeah, my video's a bit laggy, I have to say.
Yeah.
Anyway, hopefully it's not spoiling folks' enjoyment. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Thank you, Dorman.
Thank you, John.
I don't know if you're around. Michael Bolick, who's another Patreon supporter. Here's a good one. Is it common for Stones sites to be as peaceful, that is without tourists, as those in your film? I presume everybody here has watched Standing with Stones at least once. And apart from Rupert, there was a distinct lack of other people in them. The sites that we were at, all 100 of them.
Yeah, it is true. But there is a very simple answer to that, though, isn't it? And it is all down to the laziness of people. Human beings are very lazy. If you can park a car next to it, there'll always be people there. If you have to walk, then less so. And depending on how far you have to walk, I have to say, Mike and I were talking about this the other day, and one of my favourite sites of all on Dartmoor, a place called Assicombe. And I have been there, I don't know how many times I've been there. I've been there a lot. I love the place. But it's a half-hour walk. The nearest place you can park your car, it's a half-hour walk. I have never seen another living soul ever. It's amazing how lazy people can be. If you look at so Stonehenge, always crowded. Castlerig, you can park, albeit the other side of the hedge, but you can park on the road outside it. There's always people there. The Royal Wright Stones, there's always people there. Avebury, well, Avebury's still got a village in the middle of it.
And the road actually goes right through the middle of it. Yeah. And there's a pub in the middle of it. So what do you do?
But apart from that, as soon as you have to go any distance at all, I mean, it would be interesting to get Lizzie to chip in on this. Folks, Lizzie, who is with us this evening, Lizzie Dale, who writes the Cornish Bird blog, who we interviewed just recently. Well, Lizzie goes to loads of sites. It'll be interesting. Tell us, Lizzie, how often do you see other people when you're out on the moors?
My feel is the most visited is probably Merry Maidens, then probably Menontoll, which is a little bit of a walk. But although Boscarnon is not that far off the road, it is quite well visited. But you're as likely to find yourself on your own there as.
That's true, but then I suppose Cornwall is such a long way from anywhere, apart from Cornwall.
Yeah. Elizabeth says, come to Cornwall out of season. Yeah. Wayland Smithy is often quiet, Geraldine says. Although you can get your car quite close to Wayland Smithy. It's only about, 50 yards, 100 yards walk up, or is it a bit more than that? Up the road.
It's a bit more than that, but it's not far.
I was at an interesting place only the day before yesterday doing some filming for the Prehistory show. I went into Herefordshire. It was a 2 hours drive for me, but I was able to drive from my back door here via the Malvern Hills but I drove to within 20 feet of the monument itself, Arthur's Stone in Herefordshire. And it's not, it's nice, Arthur's Stone. It's not breathtaking, but because the road goes right past it and there's little car parks, I was surprised, even on a Monday morning, to be accompanied by other people and families turning up and people coming up and photographing it, So, I think, but what you said is a good measure. And, beyond those famous ones, you are quite likely to be alone. You are quite likely to be alone. Yeah. Or, and certainly even if there's somebody else there, if you wait long enough, you can be alone.
Absolutely. And I think it was a relief to us making the film that, under normal circumstances, when you're doing any kind of filming, you know that you have to wait.
Thank you, Jimmy. Good to know. Okay.
You don't rule the world. What was... You can tell me exactly. So, no, it's that normally you have to wait, but at 90% of the sites that we filmed.
Yeah. And even though Calanais, we hear, is getting a new or updated visitor centre, even there, it's very seasonal at Calanais. Orkney, then the prehistoric sites there are providing a lot of the are drivers for the tourism itself. Yeah. So megalithic sites on Orkney do not expect to be alone.
Yeah. Well, I think it's fair to say that as soon as you talk about islands, then that is the reason people go to the island. I mean, I don't want to be negative about somewhere like Lewis, because it's beautiful in as much as the Scottish Isles are beautiful. But why else would you go to Lewis?
Yeah,
I'm sure anybody watching this from Lewis would be furious that I just said that.
Emma's going to come down on us like a ton of bricks. I don't think she's here. Emma lives friend. She. And a supporter on Patreon. She lives within. She can see the Calanais from her back window, apparently.
Yeah. Anyway. But you know what I mean. I might have exaggerated that slightly, but you know what I mean. It's and Orkney. When you think that, I know that that not all of you watching come from Britain, but the thing is that. If you're going to go travelling anywhere, for somebody in Britain, it is cheaper to go and have a nice holiday in the sun in Spain or Cyprus or somewhere than it is to take yourself all the way up to Orkney, which is just hundreds of miles away. It's silly. That's the nature of local travel, I suppose.
Mondo, thank you for the question. We will save that as a supplementary. We'll get through the questions that have been answered by folk in the community.
Have we got a good supplementary question from Mondo?
Huh?
Is that a good supplementary question from Mondo?
Well, Mondo asks, ever see any supernatural phenomena at any sites you've visited?
Okay, that's a suit there. Okay.
Okay, I hope that's answered your question. Well, you prompted us into an interesting talking point, but it is common for the sites to be peaceful is the basic answer, I think, there. Yes. Cool. All right. Shall I move on?
Go on,
Mr. Potter.
Hello, David.
I haven't seen him pop up in the chat, so I don't know if David's here.
If work is being antisocial, he'll be watching this later.
So maybe we should just quickly move along. I don't think he's here. I don't think he's watching.
He'll be very upset when he catches it up later.
Made Chris Brooks smile anyway. David asks, what do you think Easter Island is all about?
Well, what I can say now is...
That was scary. Wondered what it was for a moment.
This is a mini replica of one of the Easter Island whatever you want to call them. What are they called? Maui? They're not. Are they Mauis? Oh, I'm sorry. I should have looked that up. I know that.
The quick answer, David, we don't really know that much, and you've sort of scuppered us already.
The reason I have this, I'll tell you this. The reason I have this is that many years ago, my father was actually going to do some work with Thor Heyerdahl.
Oh, yes.
And what actually ended up happening was that this all coincided with when Thor Heyerdahl found the pyramids of Tukume, and he disappeared to South America. We never saw him again. But that's the reason I have this, because there was going to be some Easter Island activity going on in the household.
Moai, Rupert.
Pardon?
Moai.
Moai. So I was nearly right. Maui, I said.
Yeah.
That might be right. Along those lines.
Oh, Cyclical Cycler says Rapuni. No. Rapa Nui. Rapanui.
Answers on a postcard, please.
You see, David, I don't know. Do you think Potter did this deliberately to show us up?
Yes.
Yes, that's it.
And it's because I said something negative about Fogus or
oh, revenge.
David's
it's the
friend.
Fugu revenge. This is, isn't it?
He's been with us for a very long time.
Yeah.
But as he brought it up, something that a lot of people don't know, you see the Easter Island heads sticking up. And a lot of people don't know that it is a whole body under there. Does that actually show up?
Yeah, we're seeing his loincloth.
And his hands kind of on his hips, really, sort of position.
We're having a scratch, anyway.
Remarkable things. Thanks, David.
David Attenborough did a very interesting documentary. It's a very personal documentary. You usually associate Mr. Attenborough with the natural world, but he got very attached to Easter Island himself and pursuing.
He did.
I think if you can seek it out,
it's worth watching.
Do a Google on David Attenborough and Easter Island.
So David's anthropological work has been just as riveting as all the rest of his stuff. Actually,
Oh, sorry, Nigel. Yeah, Rapa Nui is the Polynesian name for Easter Island.
Oh, okay.
Or is it Rapa Nui? Who knows? Rapa Nui.
Do you know what? Quit while you're ahead.
No, well, we're learning lots, if not best pronunciations. Okay. Oh, Jimmy says the people were Rapa Nui, the statues are called Maui. Isn't this brilliant?
Yeah. See, that's what it was. David was just trying to make us show how ignorant we are. Well, you succeeded, Potter.
Succeeded.
I hope
well
you're
done.
pleased with yourself.
That's it. Subscriber numbers are sunk now.
Yeah. But joking aside, if his question was serious, honestly don't know, David. I mean, they're an extraordinary piece.
James said, I thought fugu was a poisonous fish.
But the thing about the Maoris, though, is
Lectica Rapa Nui. Yeah, very good. Sorry, Lectica's just given us the correct pronunciation. I hope, unless she's messing with our heads.
But they clearly took a long time a lot of time and effort to carve, and they made that many. What were they? But I don't know.
Rupert, we've taken an awful long time to say we don't know. I'm afraid.
Move on.
Thank you so much, David.
We'll buy him a drink next time we see him, and everything will be all right.
Okay, moving on. 48 Walsh, I haven't seen in the chat. If you are with us, 48, let us know you're there, and even let us know a name that we could address you by, perhaps. Who knows? Anyway, 48 Walsh asks, are there any plans in place to do a similar show? I presume a similar, when you talk about show, you're meaning Standing with Stones, on the fabulous UNESCO-listed megaliths and hypogeum in Malta. I'm afraid there aren't any plans, but, you know, if we would love to do that. It would certainly. Malta is something that we don't pay enough attention to. And I think it's important. I've so wanted to do more inclusive work from our point of view on the islands of the Mediterranean and include them in the whole Neolithic, megalithic flow of things. And I wonder who else has done that work, that we can follow through with and actually speak words with. The important thing is slotting them in date-wise, to understand where their influence came from and what else they influenced. It would be great to be able to slot that in. But aside from that, I don't know how worldwide, I don't know how well known the Maltese sites are. How well known they are.
But isn't that the point, though? I mean, our remit, if anything, is in trying to show people things that they don't know about.
Yeah.
That is what we try to do, and that's the excitement. We all get excited by seeing something new. Julian Cope in the Megalithic European did some. He's written some nice stuff about Malta. Our friend Neil MacDonald, he does tours to Malta of megalithic tours. The very book, there it is. Yes, it's a wonderful book. The tracks, the cart tracks that they have no idea what they are actually for. There's all sorts of ideas. Yeah. But the thing is that the temples, always call them temples, don't we? But they probably are on Malta. There you go. The archaeology on Malta.
The tracks, sorry.
Astonishing. Yes, there's the tracks. Yeah, I mean, just what the hell? I like to think that they were actually in some way instrumental in dragging stones in sensible directions, but I don't know. Yeah, amazing. The straight answer to that question, though, is no, we don't have plans. Yes, we'd love to, but as with everything else, these things, any of the films that we make, take a significant, bearing in mind, it is just me and Michael, all of it, everything. It's just the two of us. Yeah. It takes a long time to research it, a long time to write it, not a huge amount of time to film it, but then a long time to edit it. Yeah. And so the thing is, it's all down to budget. And when we did Standing with Stones, it took us 2 years, nearly bankrupted us, but we knew that we were doing something good. Yeah. And we promised our families that we'd never do it again without proper finance. Yeah. Which is why we've made short films, because we can afford to make short films. And it's why our Patreon supporters are so important to us, because they help us to do what we do. If it gives you an idea, an hour of television on the BBC costs £1 million to make. An hour of television on BBC Two, probably £500,000. But you're talking in that sort of term, those sorts of terms, in the crew that you need, and and all of that. So when it comes to the two of us just trying to do this together, that's why it will take us so long, because we don't have that kind of financial support. That's why it takes us a while, and that's why we maybe can't do things as soon as we'd like to. Don't have the budget. What do you want to say?
Just to let you know that Neil MacDonald is with us.
Oh, hello, Neil.
Yay.
Uh, Neil, I was just talking about you behind your back, unless you were sitting there listening. Everybody, Neil is who I was just mentioning, who runs megalithic tours,
Yeah.
and he does take people to Malta. Do you do it every year?
He's
Neil?
well, that was the point. That's why I held my hand up. He says he does have a tour this year as well. Hopefully.
Oh, good.
Oh, that's terrific, because it's been a bit. We cancelled ours. We've had to cancel ours.
Yeah, we had to. But all our people were coming from the States, so travelling was just too risky. I hope that goes well, Neil. Yeah, Neil and I have known each other for a little bit of time now, no, he's a good egg. If you look him up, megalithic tours, look him up, because he does a lot of stuff all over the place. Thanks for tuning in, Neil. That's cool.
Yeah. Very good. However, this question gives us a brief opportunity to say, what we're planning for next year. That we are planning some more films, and we can't by any means cover all the bases. The big one that we're planning for next year is to make a film about Calanais, which heartily deserves some proper attention.
If it gives you an idea on prep time, I've started writing that already.
Hey, sweet. No, the point with that is it will come up as a special request. We're going to do a Kickstarter funding program on that. There's no way we can afford to, despite best efforts from our dear Patreon folk, there's no way we can fund it from that. So we're going to be doing a separate Kickstarter or what else is there? Anyway, a crowd-funded campaign for that. So nothing formal to say about that. That's not in place yet, but that's our plan, and it is our plan to be on Lewis summer next year.
Summer next year. We've also got next year, we are hoping to be at Bryn Celli around the solstice to do a little bit of filming while Seren Griffiths is there. Seren, who we interviewed a little while back, she's...
And Fiona Reynolds as well.
And Fiona Reynolds, yes. So, do you know what? I like that. I like the fact that we've got...
Dorman says Standing with Stones makes a decent nightlight. We hear you, Dealman. We hear you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I'm going to leave that. Yeah, well, no, we're busy. We've got lots of things planned. So it depends. A lot of this depends on what happens with COVID-19. I don't want to digress overly on that. Excuse me, but because people are behaving like absolute idiots, I'm fully expecting this to just roll on, particularly when it comes to autumn. I think when people are spending more time indoors anyway and all that, I think second waves are bordering on inevitable. And so we have no idea what travel and restrictions might actually be like moving into next year. No idea at all. So we've got these plans, and I just hope to hell that that they all work out. We'll see what happens.
James, I presume James is thinking of Standing with Stones Nightlight as a great merch idea. That is something also that's going to be coming down the line. It's no good just having a exclusive badge for Stonehead of the Month and $5 a month Patreon supporters. I think T-shirts and
I'm not wearing mine tonight because
beanies
I've
and
actually
things.
got one
They've
of
got
my
to be
favourite
coming down
shirts
the
on.
line. They've got to be coming down the line. Time, give me more time.
Yeah.
Also, we're going to be hooking up two things. We're going to be hooking up with Duncan.
Yes, we are. Duncan Garrett.
Calanais, which he's also nice one, James, because he's the person that's been excavating or diving on Calanais on Lewis. So that's one of our. That would be a fascinating thing to be able to catch up with. And also, we're so grateful that we're good friends with Alison Sheridan, who is on the board of directors of the Calanais board. So it's we're hooking up with officially with the board,
Yes.
with the what's the name of the organisation? Anyway, the Calanais.
So you shouldn't have asked me that on live broadcast.
Yeah.
It's okay. Go on, keep talking.
I think I've run out actually, Rupert.
No, try. I was going to look it up because I've got Alison's email from last week.
Yeah. No, we're very lucky to be in talks already with the powers that be that will enable us, and hook us up with the right people to be able to talk to, and give us the right permissions to get in there and make a beautiful film. Probably with spin-offs. We're talking about providing material for the visitor centre and stuff like that already, which would be an honour. So,
yes. I haven't found it.
You haven't found it? You failed. Okay.
I know. I just
So, okay,
Uras nan Tursakan.
Oh, thank you.
It's all right. Don't mention it.
48 Walsh. If you ever get to see this, you set us off on a bit of a round trip as far as our production ambitions are concerned. Yeah. And at the moment, no plans, but boy, if anybody forced us to do it, we wouldn't say no.
Indeed, no.
Or made the path easy to getting to Malta and further afield to make a film.
Do you know what?
Be
It's
great.
worth. How are we doing for time? It's getting on.
It is. We've just passed the hour mark.
Yeah, it's just worth saying one thing about making any film, in that you've got to have a story to tell. And when I say a story, I mean it's got to be a real story. You've got a reason for telling people something. Yeah. It's not simply a matter of going somewhere and showing you something, because that's just boring. You might as well have a look at a photograph. So even for something like Malta, it needs a greater understanding of what that was about, and culturally, why are there so many of these structures that you have to say more than anywhere else. A lot of you will know I get very irritated by the relentless badge of temple that's placed on everything, when it might have been, might not have been, don't know, so don't call it.
I'm going to place an embargo on it.
Yeah, absolutely. But when it comes to Malta, you have to look at these places and say, no, it's a temple.
Yeah.
And so it begs all sorts of other questions, like, well, why are there so many? Why are there so many? Or it's almost like the amount of brochs that there are in Caithness in north of Scotland. It's the same sort of thing. Why? Are these people, are these a culture who are, they're all competing with each other to have the best temple, maybe? Don't know. So it's having that kind of a better understanding of that sort of thing that might help us to make a good film, rather than just going somewhere and saying, look at this one. I'll shut up now.
Fair enough. Shall we move along now?
Go on then.
So this is the last question that we have that was asked in the community. How long, this is from Bonnie Sachs.
Hello, Bonnie.
How long, if you're with us, Bonnie, let us know in the chat. Bonnie said, how long did it take for the different eras, Neolithic, Bronze Age, Renaissance, there's a curveball.
Oh, it's a lovely question.
To get to England from their origin?
It's a lovely question, and it's actually not at all straightforward.
No.
If you want a straightforward answer, then you can just take an average, say 500 years. That Britain was, on average, 500-600 years behind the rest of the world.
Yes.
Which is quite funny. But the reality is it's not that simple. That you've got, if you look at the Neolithic in Europe kicked off about 7,000 years BC, whereas in Britain it didn't start until 4,500.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about 2,500 years behind the times. Now you get into the Bronze Age, and it's a difference of about 700 years. So 3,200 BC is the accepted date for Bronze Age in Europe, and 2,500 BC is the accepted date for the beginning of the Bronze Age in Britain. And then moving into the Iron Age, you're talking about the end of the Bronze Age. So, so the Iron Age started 800 BC, roughly.
Yeah.
But in Europe, you're talking about, it's actually given more than one phase in Europe. You've got Iron Age 1 and Iron Age 2, which I think the oldest one is 1,200 BC. So you can see there's no simple answer, but the important thing to factor in really is that any of these cultural shifts, they would accelerate moving closer to the present just because of the amount of traveling that was going on. And so imagine that the first people who were working with iron come into Britain, where they've already been using iron on the continent for a century. And people start coming over. In fact, do you know what? I think it would have been quicker than that. That as soon as somebody discovers, wow, look what you can do with this metal, then that would have been all over the place straight away. The fact that it took 800 years, 500 years for it to become a cultural norm just shows how long it takes for people to be able to change their entire manufacturing process.
Yeah, but it depends what you mean by a cultural norm. I mean, iron is a material, and it depends whether you talk about material cultures. But the use of the material itself is a separate thing, surely.
Yes.
Because when we get to the Iron Age, we're also talking about Celtic stuff as well.
And the Romans.
And Latin and Hallstatt and all that. And is that necessarily Iron Age culture, or is it something separate? Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm slightly digressing there. It's not really addressing the question properly.
But it's I think they're all good points to make. When we were chatting earlier.
It's a question of from where.
Yeah.
Neolithic. I mean, we tend to associate the Neolithic. I mean, Neolithic specifically, really talking about the new farmers.
Yes.
And not new Stone Age. We're talking about new farmers, which tends to get collapsed in my head with the megalithic, which is probably an incorrect thing to do. Neolithic culture is farming culture, really broadly speaking, and then you got to say, well, how long from when, from where? Because in that sense, the Neolithic started, way back in the east and in Anatolia. The other phase that we tend to associate with the with the Neolithic is the process of the megalithic, which again is a different thing, which seems to have sprouted mostly from France, and still took a while to get to us.
Yes.
And But that has been one of the surprising things coming up for me is just how much lag there has been.
Yes.
The further back you go, the bit greater the lag. But I say this jokingly. Don't take it seriously. And we're still got to get the Renaissance.
Yeah. 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 But do you know what? I tell you, I think a good illustration, and again, this is something that Mike and I were just when we were just chatting, and these different thoughts come up, and something that we've said. We made the point in Standing with Stones that when you talk about a site, take your pick, Stonehenge built by farmers, that I think I made the analogy of saying that it's a bit like saying the Shard, or I can't remember which building I used, but it's like saying the Shard was built by bankers.
Yeah.
We've got these ridiculous notions in our heads of what the past, who was doing what. And you look now that you look across the globe, every single one of us now is sitting, watching this, or me talking to you, talking on a piece of machinery or listening on a piece of machinery that was probably made in the Far East by materials that have been mined from all around the world and what have you. And none of us, not a single one of us, even though we're using them all the time, would be able to make one from scratch, even if we knew the theory. And I think that even though we've got to a level of sophistication that didn't exist in the past, you still need to accept the fact that we blur all these edges. We put these skills all into one basket as if, farmers built Stonehenge. No, they didn't. Stonemasons did in a predominantly farming culture.
Yeah.
But our thoughts all.
It is language lets us down sometimes, and
That's
in the effort
true.
to lets us down an awful lot actually, if you think about it. But in an effort to for shorthand and explanation, it can be misleading because, like you say, saying farmers built Stonehenge sticks in the mind, and it's just. You've got to get beyond that little bit of laziness. Hold on. What have people been saying here? Mike Todd asks, wasn't there a copper age in wider Eurasia prior to bronze? Absolutely.
There was, yes. The Chalcolithic. Indeed. The only reason it's not... It is separated out. The only reason we don't tend to talk about it specifically is that it's such a narrow band. It
really gets sandwiched, doesn't it? But between.
And so yes, it just sits at the end of the Neolithic and beginning of Bronze. And do you know how are we doing for time? I mean, it's a very. It was another friend of ours, Che Rudge, who is what he doesn't know about ancient weaponry and the like, and Che made a point to us that we had never appreciated before. Why do you hardly ever find any copper tools? You do find some, but hardly ever. Why is that? Well, that's because you need copper to make bronze. So if you had a copper tool and somebody said, well, hang on, give me that, I'll mix it with this bit of tin and you're going to have something way better, you'd have melted down your piece of copper in a heartbeat. I'll have that, thank you very much. And that's why there's hardly any copper to be found, copper tools, because they were all melted down to make something better. That's why the Copper Age just squished in there, because there's very little to show for it. Kind of makes sense, though, when you think about it.
Wow, that's a nice thing to say, Sandra. Thank you so much. Sandra Kendrick says, wonderful gifts of knowledge and life experiences you both share. Wish there was a North American prehistory effort as great as you have there. Many thanks for all you do and will do in the future. Isn't that nice? Thank you, Sandra. Actually, talking about North American prehistory, we spoke to Bruce Bradley again the other day, and he'll be popping up on the Prehistory show coming shortly. And also, we're planning to do another interview with Bruce, who seems to be accelerating in his busyness the older he gets.
Amazing. Bruce, officially retired, working harder than ever.
Yeah, I can relate to that, actually.
Yeah. It's true, isn't it? Yeah, that is true. I will say, though, from a North American point of view, if you haven't looked them up, look up the Seven Ages.
Yeah. That's a good point.
They do podcasts and broadcasts on not at all just American archaeology, on a broad number of things. But they're nice bunch of guys, 3 guys.
Yeah. Well, Seven Ages. What is it? 7 Ages.
If you look up 7 Ages, what do they call it? 7 Ages. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. It is the 7 Ages. Hold on a second.
7 Ages podcast would get you there, wouldn't it?
You'd find it,
but that's not exactly what they're called.
7 Ages. Hang on, 7 Ages.
Something like 7 Ages Project or 7 Ages.
7 Ages Research Associates.
Oh, Research Associates. That's it.
Is one of their tags. Yes.
Yeah.
And they've got lots of podcasts and broadcasts, and not at all deep archaeology based, if you like. Some of it goes well into medieval and even later, actually. But no, they do some nice work, those guys.
Yes, they do. So, like I say, thank you, Sandra. Okay, did we do fair justice to Bonnie there? I think, as far as our off-the-cuff knowledge goes, or opinions go, I think done well. Do you want to briefly answer the question that came earlier from
what, Mondo?
Mondo, yeah. Have we hadn't? No, we haven't. I haven't anyway. I'm sorry. I'm speaking for myself as far as supernatural stuff is concerned.
Do you know what? Supernatural stuff,
I've never, I have to say, aside from Standing with Stones or anything, any site, my entire life, I've never had anything I would call supernatural.
I'm going to upset a lot of people, probably. But in fact, I was only writing about this recently, that one of the things that gets me about supernatural stuff at sites is that you tend to find that people have common experiences, and from it's almost like people who go to Lourdes. They all have the same kinds of experiences because they have a preconceived idea, and people who go to prehistoric sites to experience energetic stuff. And you can do this as an experiment. If you don't tell people where they're going, don't tell them the site. Put them all on a coach. Don't tell them where they're going, and take them to a site there's very little known about it, so they haven't read about it or anything else, and they can all go in one at a time, and they can write down what they've experienced, and those reports can all be taken by somebody at the other end, and then you look at those notes separately afterwards. They'll all be different. If you tell them where they're going in advance, then that's when you get the commonalities of experience. And I don't want to be dismissive of energetic stuff. I'm not. I just find that when it relates to prehistoric sites, the best example I can give is the amount of times, we've said this before, the amount of times that we will go to somewhere that is known to have been a pig pen and people have got prayer ribbons tied there. It's wishful thinking. Having said that, Michael and I, in filming Standing with Stones, shall we tell the Calanais story?
Yeah. Oh, we've got time. Let's tell the Calanais story.
Michael and I
It's not.
were.
I would place this in the spooky rather than supernatural sort of
Yes, I grant
area.
you.
We just
It's
go, that happened.
yeah.
Carry on.
That is. It's a perfectly good description. Spooky. Um, we were on the biggest leg of our
I'm sorry,
filming tour.
Kevin.
What?
See, he's
What?
confounded us all. I was overcome with a feeling of metamorphosis after visiting Brodka. I was walking down the street and I turned into a pub.
You speak wise words, sir. You speak wise words.
Libba the Great has given us a ghost emoji.
We were on the longest leg of the filming trip. We were on the road for about 6 weeks.
We're talking
And
2017 here. 2007, I should say.
2007. Yeah. And the weather for a lot of it was grim. We were stuck. We thought when we were filming up at Piker Stickle in the Lake District, we thought that we would be there for a day. But we had to sit in the car park in the camper van waiting for the rain to stop, and we were there for 3 days. And all the time we were looking at the time disappearing and saying, well, whatever the weather's like tomorrow, we've got to film it. We can't wait any longer. and this was all nudging towards, we had no idea that there was a lunar eclipse coming. We didn't know. We'd just been so busy filming.
Do you know what? We were stuck in Kilmartin Glen.
Well, that's when you clocked it, isn't it? Yeah, so go on.
Oh, no, I didn't. Well, I didn't. No, all I clocked was we were close to a full moon.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
It had been cloudy and I was having a fag, as we did, because we were stuck there in the rain. We were held up and the clouds parted and I thought, oh, that moon looks a bit full. Is it on the way to a full moon? Looked up the thing. And of course we were. And we just thought, oh, wouldn't it be great? Calanais being a lunar observatory or to do with the moon. Wouldn't it be great if we got there and we had the camera there and it was a full moon? That would be a bonus in this journey, in this epic account of traveling up and down. I'll go with that. I'll keep that.
Yeah.
However, we still had 2 ferries to catch, and filming to do. So we were completely in the lap of the gods. But we missed one ferry.
Yes.
On the way there, and had to stay overnight. But that setback put us exactly on time to get to Calanais on the night of the full moon.
Yes.
Not only that, go on.
No, I was just going to interject to say, bearing in mind throughout all of this, that Mike had seen that glimmer through the clouds. The reality is that it was still chucking with rain and thick cloud nearly all the time.
Yeah.
And when we got to Calanais, it was still thick cloud and pretty damned horrible.
However,
yes,
when we got there, there was nobody else there, apart from there was a little green portable, collapsible rain shelter down in one corner of the field. Nobody else at all. It was grey, it was drizzly. I went to have a look at, the stones. This is the very first arrival there ever. So, completely knocked out. I started thinking about, how we're going to shoot it, what the camera angles were going to be. Rupert went and said hello to the people in the shelter. I was still messing about 10, 15 minutes later. Rupert came up to me and he said, you know what those guys just asked me? They asked me, are you here for the night of the lunar eclipse as well?
Yes.
So over all the miles, all the mishaps, all the ups and downs, etc., something had managed to get us to a rock.
But it doesn't end there, does it? It doesn't end
No,
there.
it doesn't. But how often is there a lunar eclipse?
Well, visible at that time, they're fairly regularly, every 18 months maximum.
A full lunar eclipse?
Yeah, but the point is not always visible at the right time of day.
No.
And it was also the fact that we had thick cloud, thick cloud, thick cloud, thick cloud, thick cloud, thick cloud, thick cloud.
Yeah.
We went to bed. We woke up. Choirs of angels, clear sky. The sky stayed clear.
Yeah.
All day, all night. We filmed. We went to bed. We didn't want to go to bed. We went to bed about, I don't know, was it 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock? We went to bed.
Oh, yeah, I remember sky. We were still 3 o'clock. We were still looking at the moon.
We were still
squelching about in the Calanais stones all alone in the dark with the moon.
And
glorious.
Eventually we went to bed. And when we woke up in the morning, it was thick cloud and rain again. And it stayed thick cloud and rain again.
Yeah.
But the thing is that made it all the more spooky.
Yes.
Is that... So here we are, John and Rupert, who have travelled...
My first name is John.
Michael and Rupert. Mike's given name
is John.
Nobody's ever called him John. It's just that's his given name. So essentially, John and Rupert. And we've travelled many, many miles to be at this place on the night of a lunar eclipse. And the two guys who are in the shelter, they've come from Birmingham. They've come a pretty long way as well.
Yeah.
And they're the only other two people within, I don't know how far, we haven't seen any other living souls anywhere. And, well, so what are your names then? Well, I'm Rupert and I'm John. So it was John and Rupert, meet John and Rupert. You couldn't write this stuff. Okay, you might meet a few Johns. I don't know how many John and Ruperts together you meet. You don't meet many Ruperts anyway. It was just beyond weird.
Yeah.
So, Mondo, if you're asking about have we had any supernatural experiences, that actually is the biggest one that I've had at any prehistoric site anywhere, bar none.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's clever enough to go off and work out the odds.
Yeah.
No. I wish I had the photograph of us. There is a photograph of us with John and Rupert and a couple of other guys that turned up with a bottle of wine, all alone at the lunar eclipse, thinking all the while, wondering all the while just how many people at that very same moment would have turned up to Stonehenge. There were 6. Weren't there 6 or 7? There was an archaeologist guy who lived on Lewis turned up with a bottle of wine and somebody else and these 2 others. So there was 6 of us sort of and a bottle of wine at Calanais thinking, I wonder how many people are at Stonehenge right now. Anyway, there we go. We've told the story.
Yeah. I'm just while we've got a minute, I'm just because my no, I can't. Damn. I might be able to. Bear with me for 30 seconds. Brace yourselves for disappointment.
What? Oh, you're finding a photograph?
I've got a picture of you talking to some pigs.
Oh, yes.
No, it's on a different drive.
Okay.
No. Here it is. Okay.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to send it to you, and hopefully
via Skype.
Yeah. Bear with me. I'm just copying it onto. And this is. Oh, can I do that? Can I do that? No, I can't do it by Skype. I'm going to do it. Hold. Okay. Whistle a happy tune, folks. This is technology at work.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure that I can do this. This is going to be by. Can you pick it up if I send it to you via WhatsApp?
Yes, it's open at the moment.
Because I can't send it via Skype because I'm talking to you on my phone, but I need to send it via my computer. and so I can do this. And
I'll probably, when you send it, I'll probably be able to screen share it. Anyway, sorry about the waffle, folks. Sorry, they're all still with us. They are made of stern stuff.
You are made of stern stuff. We love you. This is, yeah, it is. It's I can't remember the archaeologist's name. I'm afraid to say. I'll have it written down somewhere. But this is John and Rupert with John and Rupert and an archaeologist.
Let's see if I can get this up. Oh, I can.
Do you know
there
what?
you go. Oh God, look at. What have I come as?
I know. Nanook of the North.
Yeah, with the head torch and everything. That's
you know, it is. I still find it. Maybe it's a generational thing, but I still find it so Star Trek that we can do that. I have just sent 1,000 miles. I have just sent you a photograph from however many years ago that you have now put out to the entire world, and I love technology when it works.
Yeah. So that's the other John and Rupert on the left and the right, extreme left and right. I can't remember which is which now. And the guy with the rainbow jumper was a local archaeologist who happened to just turn up with a bottle of wine. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get back to reality.
There you go.
There we are. I think that we will now call that a show. Declare that this Prehistory Guys Q&A well and truly over. Thank you so much, guys, for making it an entertaining evening. Thank you for your questions, and thank you for also playing nicely with each other in the chat. That's always... Libba says, who took the photo? Good question. There was another guy up there.
It was a guy who came up with his dog.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he didn't hang around very long, but...
yeah.
I'm saying that. Quite possible that I actually put the camera on the tripod.
Yeah, that's possible as well. Anyway, it was a bit of a special evening. It was a bit of a special night. I'm glad we were able to share that. Thanks, guys. If any of you, I think you're all most likely subscribed already. Although there are 164 people watching, of whom the people commenting are but a small subset. So any of you guys out there, please, before we disappear, help us grow the channel. Subscribe, don't forget to do that. And if you've got a moment, please have a look over on our Patreon page and see if... it would work for you, making a contribution each month. There is extra material over on Patreon. There's, I was going to say ad-free stuff.
It's all point.
But for the moment, it's ad-free over here. But all the podcasts, which aren't anymore on the YouTube channel, so all the audio-only podcasts are over there. On Patreon, and much more besides, as a lot of the folks here will tell you.
Yes.
All right.
Not to mention my cabinet of curiosities.
Not to mention your cabinet of curiosities. And the Monday megalith.
Yes, the Monday megalith.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks again. See you very soon.
Yeah, you take care, folks. Thanks again for your support.
Yeah. Till the next time.
See you soon.
It'll be here sooner than you think. Bye.
Bye.